Anyway, let's review WWE Vengeance Day 2025, not WWE NXT Vengeance Day. Good old WWE Vengeance Day, straight out there without the NXT brand, none of that sullying the good WWE name. Took place in Washington, D.C. at the Care First Arena. 3,849 people, or tickets were distributed, we should say. 4,200 seat arena is the Care First arena. So, take it for what that's worth. I'm going to tell you all, I didn't hate this show. This is going to be the theme of tonight's NXT review. Didn't hate it. Didn't necessarily like it. I'm in that really weird gray zone where it's like, there's enough stuff here, enough effort in most circumstances for me to go, well, that wasn't so bad, as opposed to other instances of the World Wrestling Entertainment product where I'm completely despondent of what's happening. I'm stunned, actually, particularly NXT, where I'm like, it was probably their best since Heatwave. What was Heatwave? That would be Heatwave 2024. What was on that show? I don't think anyone blames me for forgetting what was going on. Roxanne Perez versus Lola Vice was probably not the one I was looking for. Obafemi Wesley. Oh yeah, there was the really good Axiom Nathan Frazier and Andre Chase Duke Hudson show. A match. That was really good. Kalani Jordan versus Sol Ruka. I'm pretty sure I wasn't really into that. Wasn't that the one that everyone got really upset about because it was just, that was the one that created a whole bunch of controversy because the WWE fans were losing their minds and a lot of us were like, they're just doing a routine here and they're paying homage to Ricochet, Will Ospreay, and it's, they're doing it at 0.75 speed without any impact or crispness, right? That was it, right? Obafemi, who was versus Wesley, and Wesley put him over big time. And I feel like I really didn't like the main event. Ethan Page, Trick Williams, Javon Evans, and Sean Spears. That's when, everyone liked this main event, but I didn't. Because I really hated the finish. I thought it was stupid. The bar isn't high if the bar was Heatwave. I mean, I know it has 9.11 rating on Cage Match right now, which is bonkers. Essentially, my stance on this show is that it wasn't a terrible show. I have seen multiple times a terrible show. I've seen multiple terrible shows, NXT shows. This was not one of them, but I feel like it's a solid representation of the glaring problems that exist in NXT. And again, why it's something that's not for me. But look, let's go right ahead and start reviewing it. Did you look to see what Dave Meltzer gave it? Heatwave, you mean? Or I know Dave really liked Heatwave. Dave really liked Heatwave for some peculiar reason. I don't know if he rated this show yet. I don't know if doesn't he save that for the Observer? I don't know. Anyway, let's go right ahead. Let's jump right in with Stephanie Vaquer defeating Fallon Henley to become the new WWE NXT North American champion. So when Vaquer is in control, especially early on in the match, it's really interesting to see Fallon Henley do some counter wrestling because she's been in the system for a couple of years, right? At what point do you say? At what point do you stop calling a wrestler a rookie or green, right? Because Fallon Henley's been doing this for a while now. Hey, look, even before she got she got brought into WWE, right? She was working the beat. Like she's been working more than I thought. Honestly, like this is not someone whose career I've been following, but she worked for Shine. She did some AEW spots and quite a bit, which I didn't realize. She was known as Tesha Price. I just really didn't realize that. And you'd think at this point, after what? How many years has she been doing this? 7 years. You'd think she'd be a solid, well put together performer, but she's kind of slow. And I feel like, I kind of feel like Vicaire had to adapt to that. She kind of had to do her thing. Vicaire is, she's a high caliber professional wrestler. Like she's an international talent that has to go around, that has to stick around a warehouse and wrestle these completely unfinished and unprepared wrestlers. And it's weird talking about that in the case of Fallon Henley, who's been doing this for 7 years, and yet she still feels unpolished. Like, with the way they've been doing cuts recently, they being WWE, if I were Fallon Henley, I'd be a little worried of what my next step is. I'd be very worried for my spot moving forward. I wouldn't be entirely confident that I'm making it through the next round of cuts. Because she's been in that system for 5 years at this point. I mean, at some point, you have to show distinct improvement. And Fallon Henley, I feel, is just like in the exact same spot. Hey, Dan Reed of Pro Wrestling Eve. Nice to see you. And welcome. So, in this match here, JC Jane interferes. It allows Fallon Henley to get in control. And, it stays on the same level right up until Vicaire gets her babyface comeback, which includes a springboard crossbody and the head stomp thing that Booker T seems to enjoy a little too much. Just a little too much. And JC Jane interferes as well, or more, I should say, during the match, clocking Vicaire with a straight right while the referee's distracted. But Vicaire fights off all of Toxic Attraction, Fatal Influence. She does a butterfly gutbuster on the apron, springboard crossbody to the floor, and does that twisting top rope tornillo for the win. Clunky match. And look, like I said, I think Vicaire is too good for having to compose with this. This match was nothing special. I thought it was bog average. I don't think it was particularly inspired either. 2.5 stars. So, I'm watching this and I'm like, well, are we off to a rousing start here? Next, we had Axiom and Nathan Frazier defeating Yoshiki Inamura and Josh Briggs. And I'm slapping my hands together and I'm going, all right, we got the Fraxium boys coming out. This is going to be good. And it was very good. I enjoyed this match tremendously Frazier and Axiom continuing their streak of NXT matches that Warren actually enjoys watching. And they had some really good opponents here, big, beefy guys to go after their smaller frames, right? Which was tremendous. And I really liked the start to this because we sort of stepped away from the usual, this is what we stepped away from. We stepped away from two things. From the usual, collar and elbow tie up and, feats of strength and, just like the feeling out period. Or, Fraxium trying to do stuff, but Briggs and Inamura are so big that, everything they do, it sort of fails. No, we've got the champs coming in full speed, full force to begin with, just buzzing around the ring around the big guys, and doing some really exciting, high-flying stuff right out the gate. And that gave such a great jolt of energy after the very tepid match we got before. We've got, there's a chop battle that happens as well between Inamura and Axiom, where, Inamura's like, he's doing the fighting spirit kind of thing, where he's standing there and he's, come on, hit me and whatnot. And Axiom tries, but he can't keep up. So what does he do? Well, he nails him in the face with a kick, of course, which I thought was great. Excellent hot tag from Nathan Frazier that followed. He is so good. He is so incredibly good. Avalanche Splash by Axiom on Inamura. Top rope chokeslam by Briggs, which was awesome as well. And then we get Inamura who DVDs Nathan Frazier on Axiom as well, who stacks them on top of each other. He goes up for a big splash, but the pool is empty. The guys roll out of the way. Orihara moonsault by Axiom on the floor onto Briggs, and then they hit their high-low finisher on Inamura for the win. Tremendous stuff. I thought that was I thought that was a blast. Really a fun match. High energy. Look, it's basically the stuff that I expect out of Axiom and Frazier. And I haven't seen Inamura wrestle in WWE since he's been there for a while, right? Didn't he landed like in November? I think he's been there for a while, and I really haven't seen him wrestle because if he's not wrestling on the pay-per-views, I don't see what he's up to. So that was fantastic to see him there, and I thought he looked good. Briggs was obviously like they established him as the big destructive powerhouse. I think they're a good team. They're a good team of big beefy boys that can get over really easily because so many guys on that roster are much smaller than them. So they can use that to their advantage. And it, made a nice size differential here. I thought the match was very, very good. I gave it 3 3/4 stars if you care for that kind of stuff. I really did love it. I thought it was tremendous. Fraxium continued to be the highlight of these shows because, spoiler alert, this was the match of the night. After the match, what did Big Man Dogs in the chat call them? The Shield Tribution. Jump into the ring. If you do not know who these guys are, neither do I. So I got nothing except I think one of the guys is like is one of the guys Evander Holyfield's kid, right? Lewis Dixon, whatever the fuck. One of the guys is Lucky Ali. Really? One of the guys is Lucky Ali. That's really hilarious, though. From the Qatar Wrestling Association or whatever. I didn't recognize any of them, and they all had the masks on most of the time, and I was mostly just laughing. So no, it's not Elijah Holyfield. There was one guy. Anyway, it doesn't matter. One of them is Lucky Ali. Good. I mean, good for everyone. I didn't recognize anyone. And poor Ali's gonna have to carry a bunch of track stars. I'm sure he's stoked for that. I guess he won't be at. I guess he will not be at the next at the next Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling show in March. I guess Lucky Ali is off the card. I would assume. So, but no, it's interesting. It's not interesting. I agree. This is exactly what Big Dog just put in the chat is exactly what I was about to say. I think these guys are supposed to be a big deal. But I don't know who any of these guys are, except for Lucky Ali, who I didn't really recognize, to be completely honest. Didn't recognize anyone. It's just like, I'm sitting there going, is this retribution? Is this retribution again? Are we trying this again? Are we going to get vignettes of people, throwing bricks through, through the glass windows of WWE headquarters and stuff like that? I'm like, is this what we're doing? I don't understand. I don't understand what this was about. And I'm, this would not be the last we see of them on the evening as well. I looked it up. Lucky Ali is now Saquon Sugars. Saquon Sugars. All right. Dion Lennox. That's who I was thinking of. Joined this group after Carmen Petrovic friend zoned him. There's a lot of that happening in NXT, I've been told. That's the guy who I was thinking about, Dion Lennox. We've seen this angle multiple times. Mystery group of thugs that just show up and start beating people up, and you're like, wait, who are they? And the payoff is that usually, right, when there's masked people coming in to take out other people and their identities are hidden, the payoff is that at least, we should be able to recognize at least one person here. That was the thing with Retribution that kept it alive right up until it was revealed that it was Mustafa Ali. That was the one thing that was keeping the intrigue alive, was that, well, who are these people, right? And, none of them were, it was that there's a couple of them who were clearly like, Mia Yim, obviously, Donovan Dijak, obviously. But no, we had to keep the masks on and never acknowledge that they had ever been in WWE, right? Because it's dumb, right? Yeah, and like Chad is saying, do you need to make masks if people don't know who you are? Like that, I don't understand. So the payoff here ultimately is, once people get unmasked, we get, then you get some kind of revelation. It's like, oh, this was a cool surprise. But unless there's like a puppet master hanging in the wings that's controlling the group, like who cares? Like maybe Sean Spears. You want to bet it's Sean Spears? You want to bet Sean Spears is the leader of this group? Do you want to bet Sean Spears is like, they're going to start talking about a puppet master. They're going to be starting to talk about a leader, an exalted one, something like that. The head chef. and it's going to be Sean Spears. Oh, we've got a chairman looking after us. All right. I think this is what it's leading to. And even if they do reveal Sean Spears, it's going to be like womp womp. Regardless. Anyway, it's funny because the audience was chanting, "Who are you?" which made me audibly giggle. I wrote it in my notes too. I wrote it right here. There'll be Ricky Starks' group. Who is Ricky Starks? Who is this Ricky Starks? It was announced on the show that Ricky Starks is going to be signing his NXT, the FKA Ricky Starks is going to be signing his name in the middle of that ring on NXT tomorrow evening. And then probably his new name will be revealed and the internet will have a meltdown, and I don't really care anymore. I really don't care. I guess he just didn't want WWE to own the name Ricky Starks, which is fine. What was next? Oh, this was next. Ethan Page. Before that, Eddie Thorpe defeated Trick Williams in a strap match. I don't have many thoughts about the match itself because I thought the match was poor. I didn't think it was very good at all, actually. I don't think it was good. And that's not even the thing that unnerves me the most, okay? That's not even the thing that bothered me the most here, in the match. It's just like, what are they doing with Trick Williams? Again, I don't watch the weekly show, But I remember a year ago, 1 year ago, at this time in 2024, Trick Williams was coming out, getting some of the biggest reactions on the show, and some would argue even on the main roster. He was a hot commodity, started building up to his match with Carmelo Hayes at the Stand and Deliver stuff. And people were excited for it. And we were, a lot of people were very into it because, it was very fresh. A lot of us were a little, including myself, I was a little weary because it's like, well, the entrance is over. People are great, but we gotta pump the brakes here a little bit because, Trick Williams isn't exactly a polished in-ring product. I'll put it that way. So, I'm watching all of this and I see him lose to Eddie Thorpe, who is like kind of meaningless, directionless. Like he's, just a guy, like the most average bog standard guy, just a guy. There's nothing exciting about him. He's just, doesn't necessarily pop off the screen, doesn't have, doesn't translate really well to WWE stuff where I'm not blown away by his work or anything. It's like, it's Eddie Thorpe. It's, Carl Fredericks, the guy who took himself out of New Japan to go pursue his dream of doing whatever he's doing right now, being a DJ or whatever the gimmick is. But they had such a hot property with Trick, even though not a finished product. This is a guy that they expressively have had him lose to Ethan Page, only to get the title back from Ethan Page, working with Ethan Page in these super ordinary matches. And now over with, Eddie Thorpe in a strap match, which is like, yes, they whipped each other. And I'm like, this is not, this is like the, it's like baby's first strap match, It's like, it's a PG version of a strap match. It's not interesting. It's not particularly good. It's slow. And there's nothing dramatic being built. And Eddie Thorpe gets the win, crotching the other guy, crotching Trick with the strap. And what are we doing? I'm just sitting there going, what are we doing? The thing that boggles my mind the most is how much they have taken Trick Williams, who was a hot commodity, and just cooled him off for whatever reason. They needed to cool him off for some reason. They talk, a lot of people talk a lot of stuff about NXT. But I'll tell you one thing, their men's division stinks. It stinks. It really does. Are they scared of him getting booed from winning too much like Braun did? I don't know. The difference between him and Braun is that he has the crowd connection. Braun really never did. That was always a big criticism. Ethan Page defeated Javon Evans. Yeah, look, here's another completely baffling decision here. To have another guy that is hot, another guy that the NXT universe is really behind, right? Young up and comer, could probably do great things in the brand. No, we prefer to push Ethan Page instead. We prefer to have Ethan Page go over in these matches. I think Ethan Page's role in the company is to make sure that these hot prospects not only wrestle very bland matches to begin with, but also, make sure that they don't get too hot too quick. And the thing with Ethan Page, as I talked about with Trick Williams a few seconds ago, is that even in a match where he's set to lose, the other guy doesn't even look good in the process. He's not even able to put the other guy over properly, like in the ring with some really great action. Like this, like it's bonkers to me. Like, what is this? What I was gonna say, what is this promotion doing? But it's a brand of WWE. And I also understand now that NXT is moving away from the label of it being developmental, right? Because now we've got the Evolve show, right? That's going to take care of that. We got TNA. That's going to, that's a joke. Or is it? Yes, it is. Not really. But also a joke. But also, NXT's moving away from being like purely developmental. Now it's like the third brand of the up and comers, right? So I understand that now they're more in a position where it's like, well, we're just going to push people and try to get them over and get the brand over and so on and so forth. But you're getting over Ethan Page. Ethan Page, who we have discussed multiple times on this podcast in very recent months, that it's a guy who has been given multiple opportunities to mix it up at the top level with the top players in the business and always ends up delivering an Ethan Page match, which is just like, just white bread with a little bit of margarine on top. Not butter. I didn't say butter. I said margarine. That's an Ethan Page match. So even if he's put in these scenarios, these positions where he's supposed to put the other guy over, and the other guy's supposed to look a little stronger coming out of the matches are so uninspired and bland that you're like, what are we doing? There doesn't seem to be upward mobility for these obvious stars, for these obvious guys who can work this company for years and years and years to come in exciting matches. I legitimately don't understand the Ethan Page push right now. I don't understand it. I have no idea what's going on. I don't understand it. There's a lot of things I don't understand in this company. Lexis King is something I also don't understand. Suit Williams was telling me, because he watches the program, God bless his heart, and he told me, like, Lexis King is on every week. Like, he's doing stuff every week. And like, there's so many other people that they could be trying out here. Like, I legitimately do not understand. I really don't understand. Now, the match started off hot. All right. The match started off hot, and because it's a blood feud, so they go right at it. People are excited about it. Energy. There was a lot of energy in this match, and Evans is so psyched up and he's ready to go that he does this incredibly awesome dive, but like overshoots Ethan Page, to crash like over the commentary table. Look, Ethan Page has to catch him and keep him from going too far. Like, that's like great instincts on Page's part. Don't get me wrong here. Like, he made sure that Javon was as safe as possible. There's some fierce strikes by Evans. Like everything is off really, really hot. And I wrote in my notes here, I said, so what's going to happen? What's going to keep it from staying hot like this? I'm like, what's going to happen? It never hit another gear. But I thought there was a lot of effort in this match. And it's going to be the same situation with the second match, with the next match we're going to talk about. I didn't hate this match as much as I thought I was going to. And I think that a lot of it has to do with the fire, the fire that Javon Evans has that really is able to drag me in. Like, he is such a good babyface. He's such a good natural babyface, and his mannerisms and how he conducts himself and how explosive he is for his hope spots and his comebacks. It was just really, really good on that front. But Ethan Page, man, he is what he is at this point. And, despite Javon Evans stomping on Ethan Page's face, Ethan Page is able to shake it off and hit his finisher, whatever it is, to get the win, right? Because it's like a twist of fate kind of thing, right? I liked it. I liked it more than I thought I was going to like it. It was pretty good. Honestly, good little match. I'm gonna give it 3.25 stars. But what a baffling decision. Again, here. Just an absolutely baffling decision to have another guy, another hot young prospect. I know Trick Williams isn't young per se, but bear with me here. Another hot prospect being swallowed up by the Ethan Page machine. Obafemi successfully retained the NXT title in a triple threat match against Grayson Waller and Austin Theory, who are in the midst of a breakup angle and are sent back down to NXT. Again, like, I don't watch the weekly show. Are they in a breakup angle because they're blaming each other for being demoted? Because that's what it should be. Because I know they started teasing the breakup while they were on main, and then they get sent to NXT. That should absolutely be the angle. They're mad at, each guy is mad at the other guy because they got demoted, and that should be addressed. Grayson Waller should say, "It's your fucking fault that we're in NXT again. You squid." And Austin Theory says, "No, we're back here in NXT because Vince McMahon is gone and he was protecting my career, and now no one's looking out for me because everyone hates me." Well, you add a little shoot element to it, might make it a little more interesting because it's true on top of that. So you sort of see how this is going to go. Two guys who are in a team but who are at odds are trying to become world champion, trying to fight the big, imposing, Ahmed Johnson type guy. And so they're going to have to team up, even though they're sort of mad at each other. So at some point, one guy's going to do one thing to the other guy, and it's all going to break apart. And that's that's the layout of the match. You saw this coming from the minute it was booked. You saw that this was going to happen. That's exactly what happens. In the meantime, Obafemi, he's throwing those fools around, right? Like, Obafemi's cool. Obafemi is pretty cool. Like, I still think here's a guy too early to be in a championship position here at the head of NXT. That's just me. But nonetheless, cool. And not losing to guys that he shouldn't be losing to, like Grayson Waller and Austin Theory. Femi throws Waller through commentary, and which was tremendous. And Austin Theory lands his finisher on Obafemi. Referee covers, but Waller drags the referee out of the ring, and that, it's just, nothing's working here. Grayson Waller accidentally lands his finisher on Austin Theory, and Obafemi lands the fall from grace for the win. And this match had fire. It had effort. Everyone was working hard. I've always liked Grayson Waller. I've kind of always had a soft spot for him. Austin Theory is whatever, but he worked hard. Here's a guy who knows his spot is in danger, right? This is a guy who absolutely knows that he no longer has the guaranteed spot he used to have when the boss was around, and he was the boss's pet project. Now the bosses have changed, and the new boss is like, I don't know what to do with this guy. He's kind of vanilla and a dork. What are we doing here? So you know, everyone worked hard here. Obafemi worked hard. It was a good match, strong match. Crowd was super into it, which also helps. I'd give it 3.5 stars. I enjoyed it. I thought it was I thought it was quite a good match, actually. And then in the main event, Julia retained her NXT Women's title against Roxanne Perez, Cora Jade, and Bayley. This was not a good match. I'm sorry to say that this was not a good match. I think it's Suit Williams in his review on Voices of Wrestling pointed this out, right? He said something like, he pointed this out. Vic Joseph at the start of the match says something to the effect that this was a showcase of the best women's division in pro wrestling, right? And the 4 women in the ring then proceeded to prove Vic Joseph wrong. I don't think this was very good. I don't think it was good at all, actually. This is kind of a bad match. I'm very, very close to like going into true bad match territory. And you know what? Here's the thing. Cora Jade, she stinks, man. Like I don't know who's pretending that she's good, because she's not. I don't know if it's the blown out knees that have reduced her to whatever this is. But on top of that, charismaless, she's got nothing. She doesn't look like she's wrestling. She stands around and waits for stuff to happen. She just stands. Like, she's not invested in it. A good comparison, you know what? A good comparison is what people say about Shota Umino, right? Where Shota Umino doesn't have, in New Japan, Shota Umino doesn't have the drive. He just looks like he's coming to work. You know, that's his main criticism, is that he's not showing fire. He's not showing passion. He's not showing that he wants it. Well, that's Cora Jade. Cora Jade is just like doing stuff and going through motions, and she's not good. She is not good. And we have to stop pretending that she is. I don't know who's pretending that she is. But right now, like, if anyone considers her to be good, okay, let's say, then we should start putting her in overrated lists. I think she's completely overrated. She brings nothing to the table. I don't know, like a complete dud in this match. And you know who else stunk in this match? Julia. I thought Julia was, in fact, it's particularly egregious that Julia is bad in this match, because she should not be. You know what I mean? Like, she should not be this bad. And she's blowing spots left and right. Like, it's not just like, oh, you know, trying to do things and it's not. No, she's blowing spots. And not just once, a couple of times in this match. And I'm like, what the fuck is she doing? And stuff like a flying octopus hold, which I have seen her do hundreds of times. I'm like, what? You know, everything was so trite and slow. And the match starts with some of the goofiest four-way spots. They're doing shit and it's so slow, and you can see, you know, Cora Jade thinking about what she has to do next. You know, it's like, oh my God, just don't do it then. You know, they're trying to set up this idea where everyone's doing cool moves to start, and, you know, they're all on the same level, but they're not. Well, yes, they're all on the same level, and that level is poor. And chat says Bayley is, you know, to throw into the pile here. I have been a Bayley fan for a long time. I have been a guy, I will have fond memories of her career, particularly in NXT. I am absolutely one of the guys who, bemoaned Vince for not giving her the big push upon being called up. I think in another universe, it's Bayley is the face of the women's division in AEW. She's the female John Cena. I think they had it. I really think they had it with her, but Vince didn't see that, and preferred to put her, in angles where Alexa Bliss, where, she never kissed a boy or whatever the fuck that was, right? This Is Your Life segment, which was horrendous. It was just so bad. So again, so when it comes to Bayley, I've never been a hater. I've been a Bayley enjoyer, but at this point I've said it for a couple of years now, especially after her last injury, Bayley's washed, and it's okay. It's okay. She's had a really great career, but her injuries have all caught up with her, and she is not the wrestler she used to be. She just isn't. And I actually thought she had some of the more well-rounded stuff in this match. Thought Roxanne didn't look bad. But what a train wreck this match was. I even made a note here. It's a match that I'm incredibly indifferent to, despite Bayley doing everything she can to keep it all together. That's what I wrote here. What kind of baffles me, there's a lot of baffling things here in this show, as you can tell. I feel like I've been baffled quite a bit. But what baffles me the most is how Julia is not adapting well to the WWE style, apparently, anyway. And I think there are, some people have been sharing some tweets about WWE fans and how they were reacting to Julia's performance, and how they're not exactly infused by her skills. And it's, I don't know if we are seeing the beginning of the WWE universe turning on Julia. But if so, I wouldn't be surprised. I know that kind of sounds awful to say, but I wouldn't exactly be shocked if that was the case, because, and I think we talked about this when she joined WWE, right? If she's not in the ring kicking the shit out of girls and throwing shoot headbutts, right? It's these things, this level of savagery that made her, that appealed to a lot of people, including myself, and who were excited to watch old Stardom matches with Julia involved, because she was bonkers. And if she goes to WWE and cannot wrestle that style, and they need her to slow it down, they need her to go a little softer, not be as harsh, then WWE fans sit back, they look at her in this performance here, and they go, well, what's the big deal with this woman? We don't get it. Everyone was making such a big stink out of her coming here, and we're kind of shrugging our shoulders, going what is the big deal? Because she really hasn't shined in NXT in any of the matches I saw with her. She hasn't been tearing the house down. She's been very fine. I think there was a tag team match she did with Vicaire that I thought she was pretty good in. But, the night she won the title against Roxanne, all right, wasn't anything spectacular. I understand if WWE fans look at her and sort of shrug and said, we don't get it. We don't understand why people think this person is good. I get it. And I think it's something that we need to keep an eye on. We'll see what happens. We'll see what the next step is. But if I'm WWE, if I'm Julia, I'm trying to find ways to adapt to the style because they're paying me a lot of money to do this, right? And sometimes, it's like it's comforting to know that despite it all, there is still like a working standard for WWE fans, right? There's still nonetheless a working standard that you have to hit if you want to make it in WWE. Right? And I think we're seeing a lot of it with Jey Uso and because Jey Uso is very divisive in the WWE fan base. Don't let anyone tell you opposite. Don't let anyone tell you different. There's an entire side that are like, yes, cool. There's another side of like, wait, what kind of thing. So, if there's anything to glean out of this situation is that you can only coast so much on charm in WWE. There is a moment where when you hit the ring, we do expect you to perform at a certain level. And right now, she's dropping the ball. It's just as simple as that. And I think a lot of us kind of saw it coming. Not in the sense that she stunk and she's going to stink it up, but it's like, well, how is she going to translate to the WWE style? And the answer is with great difficulty. That's how she's going to translate to the WWE style. So that's my review. I gave this match 2 stars, by the way. I really didn't think it was good. And the ongoing saga of bad, poor NXT show main events continues. That's all there is to it. It's kind of bad. Oh yeah, and Jordynne Grace showed up at the end because look, after the match, Stephanie Vaquer came to the ring to sort of pose with Julia with their titles, and then Jordynne Grace showed up and she just like stared both of them down and faded to black because Jordynne Grace is in WWE now and everyone's acted shocked and you're like, well, come on, man. The only thing that's shocking is that they're not putting her on main roster. That's the only thing that's shocking. It's legitimately the only thing that's really shocking is that she's going to scum around in NXT first. WWE Vengeance Day 2025. Not a terrible show. Not a bad show. Not a good show. Just, it's fine. It didn't, I've seen a lot worse from NXT. I've seen a lot worse, period. It's not I don't want to gouge my eyes out after watching the show, but, are we improving? Are we finally like finding a new footing with NXT? Let's see. It's definitely not as dire as it was. And I guess that's an improvement. It's not as bad as it used to be just last year. Maybe Chef Michaels is cooking and maybe he's cooking spaghetti bolognese and everyone is really freaking the fuck out because they've never had spaghetti bolognese before.